You know, when you're hosting a talk show, it probably isn't the best idea to be rendered speechless, but
Yeah, it's true. I was just thinking how glad I am to have signed on to watch this entire tour as closely as I'm required to do because I'm enjoying it so much. The band is just so on top of it that some of the instrumental stuff going on there in that Sugaree was just monumental.
yeah, there's been like one sugary for the ages after another on this tour, and this may have been the best yet. My sense of proportion on that is pretty much blown at this point. But one thing I noticed about some of John's soloing on this, one thing John Mayer and I have in common is that among our personal deities is BB King. The difference is that John knows what to do with it, and he on that Sugaree, there was so much BB in there, that left hand tremolo thing that BB used to do, and just really beautifully evocative of the master,
Interesting.
and yet also completely in John's own voice and John's own style. So, once again, floored. What can I say?
Absolutely. Let me quickly run down the set because if you're watching this as a free preview of set two, we need you to know what you missed in set one so that if you buy the stream, you can go back and watch set one. You will not be sorry you did. They opened with Man Smart, Woman Smarter, which I'm told was the tour bust out. Bertha
Mm-hmm.
in Queen Jane approximately, also a tour debut, Queen Jane approximately. Brown Eyed Women, Fenario, aka Pretty Peggy O. Cassidy, which also had some pretty damn fine musical stuff going on, and Sugaree. That's a fine first set there. So if you're watching this now as a free preview, you can go to livedead.co and convert it to a paid viewing, which will entitle you to watch the entire thing as many times as you want to over a period of 48 hours from the time you start. So if you tune in, you can watch set two live, then go back and catch set one. They also have lots of streaming and downloading things for just audio with the entire history of Dead and Company going back to 2016 and huge amounts of other music as well. Livedead.co or nugs.net to find out more about all of that.
That's right. And I'm sure our guest will have things to say about this, but before we go to our guest, David, I know you want to talk about a really wonderful cause that we are all too happy to support here.
I do indeed. Thank you. On Sunday morning, I launched a fundraising campaign of direct action for Robin Sylvester, the bass player of Rat Dog for many, many years. Just a lovely human being. I've been a huge fan of his for upwards of 25 years now, and we've collaborated many times in the studio and on stage and stuff. So I have a personal stake in wanting him to stay healthy so we can play music together again. But he has a huge fan base and lots of friends from coast to coast because he's worked with everybody in the hippie music scene around here. And he's had some long-term health problems. If you go to my blog, cloudsurfing.gdhour.com, the first thing you'll see at the top is a link with a photo of Robin in it. And there's a link to a page that explains the history of Robin's health problems that go back several years and describe his current situation. He needs care 24 hours a day. So this is to help him cover the costs of that because I don't know what his insurance situation is, et cetera. So we're asking, I'm trying to raise $100,000 to make this happen. And the last time I looked, we had just about hit $28,000 in these 4 days. So I'd like you to join in this, make any contribution of any size you can. Looking on your screen right now, it says paypal.me/truefunddonations. Every cent that comes into that account from now until future notice goes directly to Robin. So please contribute if you can. He's, as I say, a wonderful human being, a great friend, and just a hell of a bass player and very much deserving of our love. And by the way, I want to thank Bob Weir and his social networking team for tweeting about this evening. That is going to bring a lot more attention to this cause, and thank you for that.
Yes,
So our
indeed.
guest. Let us bring our guest in. He's another good friend and another person who works closely with this music in a very interesting and specific way. He's a mastering engineer who's done a huge amount of the music that you love for Grateful Dead and lots of other musicians as well. He works out of Air Show Mastering in Boulder, Colorado, and he just got a second Weimaraner, and I can't wait to meet her. This is Dave Glasser, everybody. Hi.
Hey there.
I can't help but mention the dogs because I love your previous Weimaraner Lola, and I can't wait to meet the new one.
Well, she's here. Maybe she'll pop her little head in.
That would be great. Listen, Dave, I want to start this conversation with a very specific question. As it happens this afternoon on one of the Grateful Dead fan pages on Facebook, somebody posted a couple of photos of vinyl records that were of Grateful Dead, but not from a regular Grateful Dead album. And I looked at them and I did a little research and I discovered what they are is acetates from Artisan Sound in LA from the mastering of the vinyl records of Reckoning back in 1981. And I thought having a mastering engineer on, you are somebody who can explain exactly how all of that works and how a vinyl record gets made. And then maybe that can lead you into explaining how you master CDs and how that's different from mastering for vinyl.
Well, Artisan was a mastering facility in Los Angeles, and they did a lot of the big records back then. And actually, when we get Grateful Dead tapes in to work on now, a lot of them have notes from Artisan on them. That record that you're referring to, an acetate, is cut directly on the lathe, and that is what is sent to the plant to get electroplated and the stampers made, and then those are used to stamp out the LPs. Lacquers
Okay,
were
go
also...
back and explain what the lathe is.
Oh, a lathe. Imagine a turntable, but instead of having a tone arm that plays back the music, there's a cutter head that inscribes the groove in the record and records the signal onto the record in the form of a lacquer.
Okay, so then that's taken to a plant and replicated, and a positive, and then et cetera is made. So that acetate is a direct reference of what was being recorded on to be the album that was going to be pressed and released to the public, right?
And they're also used as review copies for clients to take a listen to make sure that that they approve the cut before it all goes into production.
When you started being a mastering engineer, were you cutting vinyl?
No, I got into mastering when vinyl was sort of on the outs, and I don't have a lathe and I don't have that that experience cutting vinyl. But a lot of stuff that we work on goes to vinyl, and all the Grateful Dead records are cut by Chris Bellman at Bernie Grundman Mastering, and he does a fabulous job with the vinyl cutting.
Well,
so how
if
does
I may
mastering
ask,
for CD? Oh, go ahead, Gary.
well, we've gotten into how mastering is done for vinyl and how it's done for CD. I think maybe we should go to square one, because a lot of people out there aren't, recording fanatics, or what is mastering? What does a mastering engineer do?
The best analogy that I've heard anybody give is it's kind of akin to what a colorist does in the film world, taking all the various shots and making them come together to meet the vision of the director. And we do the same thing with the audio. And an album may be recorded over a long period of time in different studios, or it may be mixed under adverse conditions, and our job is to make it sound like the artist and the producer heard it in their head,
And to give it a
And
sort of unified sound from track to
and
track and things
to
like that.
exactly, yeah. Hmm.
and I'm guessing that has come in especially handy in this era where we're having this endless flow, or we hope it's endless anyway, of treasures from the Grateful Dead vault, and we're trying to, as faithfully as possibly, reproduce, what the band sounded like on stage during a given era, and some,
Yeah.
and from night to night, the quality of the recording could change. So you want some kind of uniformity in that, and kind of get inside what the band's intentions were, to produce that sound on vinyl or in the digital world.
And we all have this romanticized idea about what the Grateful Dead recordings are, or should be. And I know I felt this way before I got into the minutiae. I felt that all these recordings are great recordings. Well, Grateful Dead recordings, vary from absolutely pristine, superb, just stay out of the way of it, to recordings that really need some work to bring them up to snuff.
Yeah.
So you can't really remix, like bring up an instrument per se, but you can bring up sort of
Right.
regions of the sonic spectrum and things like that, right? So the bass doesn't overwhelm things and stuff like that.
Sure. Using tools like equalizers and compressors and some new technology that I'm really excited about. Plangent processes is a technology for taking for removing wow and flutter and any other little speed variations that exist in all analog tape recordings, and it's
Wow.
really striking in what that can do.
Yeah.
That also.
I remember.
Go ahead, Gary.
Well, I remember. Yeah. One of the most, maybe the single most Herculean job that anyone involved with the Grateful Dead's archives ever undertook was the complete Europe '72 box set. Recordings of all those shows, and they were of variable quality. In some cases, there were big problems on the tapes. I had the pleasure of sitting on a panel at the Audio Engineering Society convention with you and others who were involved, Jamie Howarth, and the some of the audio detective work that had to be done in finding flaws in the recording and correcting them were just astonishing to me. And I'm sure it was an amazing experience for you and everyone concerned with that box set to work on it.
Oh, that was definitely a highlight for me. And in a lot of ways, it was an exercise in reducing mass. So what started out as 2,000 pounds of multi-track tapes that were shipped to Plangent for transfers turned into hard drives that were shipped to Jeffrey Norman, turned into thumb drives that were shipped to me in Boulder, and then turned into electrons that went to Rhino Records.
That's
Poof.
fabulous. That's really beautifully put. I remember I was at your place one time when you were working on those, and just Dave has, as you people can imagine, the most amazing listening environment. And our friend Sam Burko had something to do with it being such a great sounding room. By the way, we should give him a shout out. But I remember sitting in that room with you while you're mastering this and just being blown away by the audio quality.
We listened to a Dark Star, if I remember.
I think so. I'm not, whenever somebody says, "What would you like to listen to?" my first choice would always be a Dark Star. So probably yes.
Yeah.
Now you
Um,
you are not just a Grateful Dead mastering engineer. You work with a lot of other kinds of music as well, right? And talk about some of your
Mhm.
other work and what you're. I mean, you're in the mastering business, and people might want to come to you to master their records.
Um, let's hope. Um, well, one of the highlights for me was working on the Harry Smith anthology of American folk music,
Oh
the
yeah.
CD version of that, which was highly influential to Jerry Garcia and the Grateful Dead. Um, that again was a lot of meticulous restoration work. Um,
Were you
let's
working
see.
directly with the original records, like the '78s and stuff?
Um, most of it was the original transfers done in the 50s to
Okay.
tape, but some of the cuts were fresh transfers from better sounding 78s.
yeah,
Wow. What fun.
I'm really glad you mentioned the anthology because I noted that among your credits, and you won a Grammy for it, by the way. And
Hey.
uh, that I don't know how to put that in context. You mentioned it was very influential to Jerry Garcia. It was kind of like the holy scriptures for a whole generation of folkies.
Yes,
And
absolutely.
Harry Smith, to set context, was this eccentric New York artist and collector and just all around amazing guy who put out this box set called the Anthology of American Folk Music. It's been called the Harry Smith Anthology for many years, and it was this really ambitious attempt to gather all these. They were all commercial releases. It wasn't like John Lomax going into the field and recording sharecroppers singing or anything like that. These were commercially available recordings that had long been lost or out of print, and Harry Smith gathered them and put them together. And it's where guys like Garcia and Bob Dylan and so many folkies of that era got a lot of their repertoire. And so a lot of the music we hear today came from those records Harry Smith put out.
And I think it was Peter Stamfel who said that Harry Smith could have chosen um, any number of tracks for the anthology, but he just happened to choose the exact right ones.
Right.
uh, what else do you work on?
Uh, well, this has been an interesting fall. Been working with Keller Williams on a new project, and um, Tim Reynolds, who plays with Dave Matthews, on a new project. Interesting classical thing for the United States Air Force Band of the Golden West, and it's a whole variety of things, which is what I enjoy the most. That I never know what's gonna be waiting for me when I come into the studio in the morning.
Yeah,
That's a nice way to look at it.
I did a little research this afternoon and went to your page at allmusic.com. And if you go to allmusic.com and hit the first type in David Glasser and then hit the tab that says credits, you will be blown away by the breadth and the length of your entry there is in credits is we're talking about going on 40 years, I think, worth of stuff. And
Well, not quite that, but
no,
yeah.
it's been a bit anyway, and the range of genres is amazing, so that's a really good way to get into an insight into the work David has done all these years.
And this is
Well,
another one of those we are everywhere situations. He's a deadhead and he likes all this different kind of music, all these different kinds of music, and gets to work with all different kinds of music and bring a deadhead's sensibility to all of this other kind of music. Good work.
Well, David, I listened recently to that album that you produced, "The Roots of the Grateful Dead,"
Uh,
um, that has the original versions of a lot of the songs that the Grateful Dead covered, and the breadth of that is enormous. And So, like a lot of people, I credit the Grateful Dead with permission to listen to Merle Haggard and digging deep into the blues and experimental music, concrete stuff. It's all there.
Yeah, it's true. The Grateful Dead is like the town where I live, Oakland, California, has this great Oaktown logo, and it's big, deep roots and a big, huge tree as well. And we have that here. The Grateful Dead comes from this huge variety of roots and into this thing. And then from it, we're now looking at this huge expanse of music that's being made in the wake of the Grateful Dead and inspired by the Grateful
Yes. And I got to say, this has been a wonderful year for hearing Grateful Dead music. I started off the concert season, such as it was, with the Wolf Brothers at Red Rocks, and then Billy and the Kids, which was incredible at Red Rocks, and recently saw Phil and Friends at the Planet Bluegrass Ranch, a wonderful little 3,000 capacity outdoor venue in Lyons, Colorado. And next week, if it doesn't snow, we'll be Dead and Company at Red Rocks, and after seeing this first set, I can't wait.
If it doesn't snow,
Yeah.
You never know.
uh-oh.
you never
Colorado.
know. Yes,
I've been through literally lethal hailstorms around Red Rocks, but I don't think I've been to a concert in the snow there. Wow.
Yeah, I would think late October, mid to late October would be kind of pressing your luck at Red Rocks because you just kind of never know.
It seems they keep on pushing the concert season later and later every year. This is the latest that I will have gone to a show there.
Well, let's hope the weather is propitious for it, because I would hate to miss one. This tour is going so well. So what did you think of the music?
Well, I noticed a theme, which was a theme focusing on women, because all of the songs either had woman or the name of a woman in the title, or was about that. So I wonder if that was a big screw you to Governor Abbott.
Very good catch. Because did you see Mickey's T-shirt?
No, I didn't notice it.
Oh, Mickey's T-shirt was the female symbol, the circle with the cross, and a Steely within it, and in pink, and
excellent.
And it reminded me of when the Grateful Dead, in the very fraught days of the 1970s, after Kent State, put the clenched fist. Oh, there's a clenched fist in Mickey's shirt too, and I remembered when Mickey and Billy put twin clenched fists on their drum heads back in 1970 after Kent State. So I was really, really happy to see that. Check out Mickey's shirt. If he hasn't changed shirts, check out Mickey's shirt for the second set, because it's beautiful. It made me very happy.
Mm-hmm.
When did you jump on the Grateful Dead bus, Dave?
1970 was my first show. Halloween at Stony Brook University in New York. I
was there.
I don't remember a thing about that show.
I was in one of my I was in one of my most intense runs of Grateful Dead show going in that period. I saw two of the shows at Stony Brook. They played the Capitol Theater in Portchester the following week. Then they played this obscure little place in Brooklyn for a few nights. And, it was during that I really don't want to miss a show period of my life. So I was very much immersed in it. But Stony Brook was a lot of fun. I think that was one of the last. That was one of the last Viola Lee blues they played before they put it away. It may have been the last one. So that was a real pleasure.
And if I remember correctly, that was the night that was a Viola Lee blues into Cumberland blues, if I recall correctly.
That's correct.
One of a kind Grateful Dead moment there. Well worth listening to on the archive, everybody.
Hmm.
We should probably mention again that we're offering up here a free preview on YouTube or Facebook for Nugs Net's feed of Dead and Company, and the second set is going to commence very soon, and it's available in HD and 4K. And I can tell you from having sat through this entire tour to date, the camera work is spectacular. The musicality of this feed is really, really wonderful. And the audio is also ridiculously good. The band, as you can tell from our enthusiastic behavior, is playing just amazingly well. So I personally recommend that you do this. Buy the feed, and when you do that at livedead.co, you can go back and watch the first set with all those female themed songs and enjoy that. And you have 48 hours to watch the whole thing as many times as you like. There are also season passes available so you can watch the entire tour. And also there's huge library of Dead and Company concerts going back to 2016 available in audio formats as well.
Such a deal. Dave, speaking of listening, speaking of the sound, you were listening to that set through that fabulous system you have there in your studio, so I'm sure it sounded especially nice there.
Wow. It was spectacular. Just super hi-fi. The mix, Derek's mix was great. I love John Mayer's guitar tone, especially when he was playing the Strat guitar.
Yeah.
Just incredible, and it was so much fun watching the interplay between John Mayer and Bob during Peggy-O was really sweet.
Yeah.
I really enjoy watching them all interact, and also getting to. My wife is particularly into the hands. Like when we watch Colbert, she's a gigantic fan of John Batiste's hands on the piano. So we love watching Oteil's hands on the bass for the same reason. He's such
an economical player.
Yeah.
If you're just looking at him and not paying much attention, it doesn't look like he's doing that much.
That's
but
right. It's all in the finger.
he really is.
Yeah, and he's getting he may stay in one position on the bass, but use all 6 of those strings in such a way that he's getting a lot of stuff out there in that. Yeah. We will say for Oteil, he copped to this the other day. He's been having some problems, so he's been a little less physically demonstrative on stage because of this back problem he's been having. But it's kind of a pleasure to just see him, that makes it easier to focus on the quality of the work and the delicacy of his fingerings and all that. So, we don't wish that on Oteil by any means, but it's there's been a benefit for us in just getting to focus on the music in incredible ways. Hey, something that might amuse you. We were talking about the quality of sound and everything. I actually went to see Phil and Friends last night at the Capitol Theater in Portchester, and in the venue adjacent to the Capitol, Garcia's, their smaller bar, they had on stage this insane working. I think it's a 1/4 scale model of the Wall of Sound.
The one you had up is the 1/6 version.
I was
think I saw
corrected
that today.
by someone.
Oh,
Yeah, someone told me it was the 1/6, and it got corrected. He built one of the Wall of Sound, and it works. It works. Yeah, and incredibly detailed visual replication of it. And so, in between sets and before the show, they were playing vintage Dead and Garcia band tapes through the PA.
Oh, nice!
And it was stunning. So much fun, and it sounded phenomenal. So that guy's obsession is really an admirable thing. So, congrats,
Anthony Kosha.
That's it.
Anthony Kosha is his name. Kosha.
Yes.
And that, I mean, so much has been said about the Wall of Sound, but that was a spectacular sounding PA system.
Yeah.
I loved all the shows that I saw with the Wall of Sound.
Yeah, I got to see quite a few as well. It was amazing clarity of sound that wasn't overwhelmingly loud. That was part of the deal. Remember when it first was revealed, John L. Wasserman, the critic for the San Francisco Chronicle, did a column about it, and the headline was, "Shh, the band is playing." And the point was that they were able to throw the sound cleanly without having to make the sound immensely loud because of the physics of it, the way they would build up the speaker stacks would add up. The more farther away you were, the more of the speakers you were hearing. So each one of them didn't have to work so hard to throw the sound out. And it's a brilliant concept by the late, great Owsley Stanley thought that up while tripping, I believe.
Probably.
And it was also the way that the band was playing. I distinctly remember times during the quiet ballads when you really had to lean in to hear what was going on, and then it would build to these enormous crescendos that were just symphonic in their scale. It was incredible.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah. One time at the Oakland Stadium in June, I and my mates started out on the third deck of the very, as far away from the stage as you could get in the audience. And over the course of the second set, we walked down to the front of the third deck, and then we went down the stairs and walked slowly down to the front of the second deck and then down. And we wound up all the way across the infield, right under Phil's nose in time for him to hit this big bomb on Wharf Rat. So we got to experience the clarity of that system from many perspectives. It was great.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I've got to say, with Dead and Company having, shown the ability to fill some stadiums, we've seen them in Boulder, and we've seen them at Citi Field, New York, seen them at Dodger Stadium. Derek Featherstone is achieving some of that clarity as well, because I make a habit of going all over the place and going up to the upper reaches of stadiums at those shows. And it's amazing how much the fine details can be heard, So, kudos to Derek, with a little less wear and tear than that exerted by the Wall of Sound on the crew and everyone else.
Oh, yeah. So what else is new?
We've got 5 band members on stage. That's news. And
Okay.
waiting for that magic 6th. I always kind of wonder which one is the straggler. They'll never tell. But 6 are here now. So
Right.
We could get that.
We could get the lights signal at any second. So Dave, so we don't rudely interrupt you in the middle of something, we want to thank you for being here, because we may not have a chance when the word lights pops up. So it's really been a pleasure talking to you.
This has been fun.
Indeed.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
That's great to
And I
have you.
can't wait until I can see you guys again in person at
Yes.
some show or
Yes,
something.
we've had the pleasure of attending Dead and Company shows together a few times over the years. Dave's company is called Air Show Mastering, and if you're in the recording business at all, you should know that what he does and how well he does it. So you might be interested in his having him work for you. In fact, I'm about to sign him up to do a mastering job on a record of mine. So there. Any second now, they're going to. I was going to call you about that, Dave.
Boy,
Now everybody knows.
Cutting a deal on the air, man. That's throwing down the
I'm
gauntlet.
not asking for a discount or nothing. I value your work at the top as a top dollar.
Great. Well, Dave, it's I was in that room with you, as a matter of fact, a little over 2 years ago, the day after the Dead and Company tour ended in Boulder.
Yep.
Actually co-hosted our radio show from your studio with our friend Rob Bleetstein sitting in. So I really do hope to see you again soon, there or here. If your work ever brings you to New York, I'm around. So let's stay in touch, man.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Dave.
All right.
Okay, now you and I have to bat it back and forth for another few seconds or so.
Yes,
hopefully.
we have the certainty that we have 6 band members on stage, unless someone forgot something in the dressing room or something like that. But anyway, we are hoping. It was great talking to Dave Glasser. I am not
Always.
I'm not an audio expert, but I've tried to school myself on, as much as I can to appreciate more of the work that people do in the recording world and the mastering world. So, there's some stuff that Dave says that just, but I've acquainted myself with enough of the craft that it only increases my admiration for the people who do this work. And as I said,
I have sat there with him mastering, and the way it works, that when he'll do some incredibly subtle stuff, and you'll listen to it. Okay, here it is without, and here it is with, and it's barely noticeable, but incredibly important little differences. And what he does is sort of just clarify things so that everything is sort of properly represented and there's no lumps in the frequency response, and that bass doesn't make your bookshelf rattle and stuff like that. And then also you'll jump around from track to track to make sure that one track isn't quieter than it needs to be in the context of the other ones. And then we'll listen to the transition from one song to the next, and you'll be sitting there. I did this with Henry Kaiser a couple of times, where you'll sit there while the song is ending, and then you'll say, now, and that'll be marking the place where the next song starts. That's part of mastering too, is like that pacing of the record down to the split second of how the fade goes and how the next song starts, and those kind of things. And it's time to go. Lights. See you tomorrow, everybody.
Hold that thought.
Put your money in your shoes, 'cause women's in deep hell. Give you that deep hell blue. Whoa, sweet mama, daddy's got that deep hell blues. Whoa, sweet mama, daddy's got them deep hell blues. Put your money in your pants, 'cause the women in Deep Ellum, they don't give a man a chance. Oh, sweet mama, daddy's got them deep Ellum blues. Oh, sweet mama, your daddy's got them deep Ellum blues. knew a preacher preached the Bible through and through. Went down to Deep Ellum. Now his preaching days are through. Oh, sweet mama, daddy's got them Deep Ellum blues. Oh, sweet mama, daddy's got them Deep Ellum blues. When you go down to Deep Ellum, have a little fun. Have your $10 ready when the policemen come. Oh, sweet mama, daddy's got them Deep Ellum blues. Oh, sweet mama, your daddy's got them Deep Ellum blues. Your money in your pants and dollars ready. They don't give no man no chance. Oh, sweet mama, daddy's got them Deep Ellum blues. Oh, sweet mama, your daddy's got them Deep Ellum blues. Oh, sweet mama, your daddy's got them Deep Ellum blues.